In the last 14 years, I've sold hundreds of homes all over the city. I really get frustrated with market reports that talk about the average sale prices of the homes going up in value. You see, it may only mean that people are either buying more expensive homes or the fact that 5 mega houses sold last month and increased the market average or the statistic. That's why I created this special report where I talk about the average sales price per square foot. To see if the average sales price per square foot goes up in value, that means people are paying more for houses. Secondly, I like to look at the inventory supply, meaning I like to look at how many homes are available now in different areas versus what sold last month. If you're a buyer, it'd be great to know that if there's 2 times more homes available than sold last month, then you're in a great position to negotiate your best price. Secondly, if you notice as a seller that there's half as many homes available now as sold last month, well, you might be in a good position to get a great price.
To help make our stats a little bit more relevant to you, I'm going to divide up the city into different quadrants. I'm going to do the inner city, the northwest section, the southwest, and what we're talking is west of Sarcee, because we would consider anything east of Sarcee to be inner city. The deep south, which would be Fish Creek, Chaparral, Mahogany, all of these south areas. And lastly, we'll do the northeast. At the end of the video, we'll go over the whole market so you can compare how your numbers match up with the overall. Okay, so when we look at the inner city for the month of June, we see 322 sales, and those sold at $491 a square foot on average, and $461 was the median price. Now, the median price means that that's where most of the buyers were buying. Those average sale prices were $698.70 was the median, and $801 was the average for all homes considered. Now, when we look at how that compares to May, where actually unit numbers are actually quite almost 100 sales down from May, and we had one big sale in May, 4.8 million, and what that did was increased our average price per square foot to 497 compared to this month. So the average price per square foot, or what people are paying per square foot on the average, is down. And for the median, where most buyers are buying, didn't change a whole lot, but it is also down for the median as well. And it's interesting also that these numbers don't follow with the average sale price. You can see that the average sale prices are actually up for the month of June, but the actual sales price per square foot is actually down. So what does that really mean? Well, it means that people are paying less per square foot for their houses in June than were in May as an average. This here should have pumped up the average price per square foot, this $4.8 million sale, but it didn't push up the actual average sale price, which is quite interesting. Now, if we look at how that compares to last year, prices definitely up. We had a median price of $437 last year and an average price of $461. Our average sale price is definitely up as well, not quite as significant as the prices per square foot. Now, how does that look like what does our inventory look like? Well, July supply, we're actually up. We had about 770 listings. If you looked at my report last month, active listings in a market we just had 440 sales. So we had about a better than 2 to 1, lesser than 2 to 1 ratio. And as you can see, the inventory is going up and the sales are actually going down. So there's less unit sales for the month of June, and the supply has actually gone up. When we look at our average price per square foot, we can see that again, $491 a square foot for the month of June on average. When you look at the list price per square foot, what you'll see is that the buyers were actually looking at homes that were priced at $498, and the sellers are asking $559 on average, or even $510 on the median. And so what's left on the market, it tends to be the more expensive inventory. It's also bigger as well when you look at it that way. Now looking at this from an inventory supply point of view, we had some notable things happen. So in most of the categories up to 550, these are single family homes, of course, we have less inventory available today than we actually sold last month. And especially in that 500 to 550 group, 45 sales and 20 homes available in that group. And then when you look at just about every other group, and then we got an anomaly here at 600 to 650. We had 29 sales and 26 currently active listings. And every other group, we have an oversupply situation, or a supply of almost 2 to 1.
or even better. Of course, the high-end market, there's 137 listings and just 21 sold in the month of June.
So now we'll move on to the Northwest section. So looking at the Northwest, we got 442 listings sold in the month of June, and those were sold at $327 a square foot on average, and $307 on the median price. At $526 was the average sale price up there, and those homes are about 1,600 square feet on average. Now we compare that to last month. We look at 496 sales in the month of May, and we've got a sales price per square foot a little bit less, and very similar pricing on the average sale price. Hasn't changed a lot. When we look at the price per square foot, though, definitely up on the average, and we actually had a lesser sale than we had for May at 1.7 million, which really didn't affect our average sale price when we look at the price per square foot. So the price per square foot is definitely up in both categories, indicating people are getting more per square foot for their houses. Now when we look at June, for example, of last year, 458 sales in the same time period, so actually down from June of last year in 2013, and that average sale price per square foot was actually was quite a bit less than it is this year. So almost $30 a square foot on average, and for the median price where most buyers are, we're looking at about $30 a square foot, close to that. Now we look at how our inventory supply currently. We've got a little bit better overall than not 2 months supply, but a month and a half or a month and 2/3 supply available. And the buyers were looking at homes that were listed at $330 per square foot on average, and most of them are $310. Our list prices are actually pretty good when you look at that for the median. The buyers are the current listings on the market are actually bigger and than what's sold, and they're actually priced at $309 a square foot. So that's good news for buyers, actually, that the pricing out there for the north on average is actually on the Northwest is actually pretty good. Now we look at the inventory supply. You can see here that we've got some things happening, different price groups. We've got a very close, if you're looking for a house in the range up to 400, the houses are selling pretty quick. 42 sales, 43 available. That's pretty fast market. But especially in the 400 to 450 group, we actually have less homes available today than we sold last month. That means that they're moving in lesser time than a month in that particular group. And then of course on all the rest of this here, we're looking at a supply that's over, and it's nice to have a third more homes available than sold last month for buyers, and it makes it a little bit easier. When it comes to listings, of course, if you're a seller, these are also pretty close races here as far as not that much available for buyers. Those are pretty close. And as we go up, of course, you get into 700 to 750, 800. We got 21 available and 7 sold. So in that market, there's 3 times what's available. And as we go up here, no sales around the $1.5 million mark and up, and 8 listings. So as we go up, of course, there's a little bit of trouble for those high-end sellers there. Now we're going to move to the Southwest section. We're talking west of Sarcee, Aspen, these areas, Signal Hill, and so forth. So moving on to the Southwest here, we've got 111 sold listings in the month of June, and those sold at $366 a square foot on average and $335 for the median price. Now when we look at what happened compared to last month, we actually had about the same amount of sales. Things haven't changed much there, and the pricing is actually up per square foot, $366. We had a really high-end sale at $2.5 million, and it sold at $1764 a square foot, which could have raised our average price per square foot up. As far as the average sale price, though, it didn't seem to affect the average sale price very much, and the median price is up to $740 where most buyers are, and it wouldn't affect that too much either. Now our days on market, 21 days on market for the median, and 20 last month, and 39. So we've got a little bit over a month on the average time it takes a home to sell. So it's actually gone up a little bit.
Now we look at how that compared to last year. Our average sale price up there was 344 a square foot on average. So compared to 366, it's up quite a bit. And for the median, 314 last year. So we're looking at, geez, about $20 a square foot higher in price. Now those buyers were buying the same size house, and in a matter of fact, in May, they were getting a little bit about the same size house again. So that just seems to be the average up there. And 129 sales last year. So we actually had more sales last year than we did this year. Now, looking at where our supply of inventory is, we see that we've got about a 2-month supply of inventory. And the buyers last month were looking at homes that are priced at $370 a square foot. And you can see on average that where we're at here is we've got a fair amount of listings on the average that are $718. But the median is a better number because it represents where most of the sales are. And buyers were looking at about $340 a square foot, or homes that were priced at $749, but what's on the market on average is $954. So that means there's a little bit of a lesser inventory for people that are looking in those price groups. That's where the hot spot is. Now we want to look at the average, or just look at what's happening in the market and supply figures. At 500 to 550, in these groups here, even when we look at the lower end here, we're looking at less homes available than sold up until we get to about 650,000. We had 13 homes sell, and we have only 8 available currently. So that means that if you're a seller in this market, it's going to be pretty fast and should be probably less than a month. Now, in this particular market, once we get above that mark, we've got kind of some close races here. 800 to 850, we have a few homes available, and we have a fair amount of sales. That's pretty close, and here too. But when we go to the high-end market, 50 homes available above 1.5 million, and only 6 sold last month. So we've got a larger, actually for the most part, there's really not much supply in there. Even when you look at 19 sales to 12, 19 available to 12 sales last month, that's a pretty close race when you think about, it's nice to have about a third more available or better for buyers. So for sellers, this is really looking like more of a seller's market out here than a buyer's market.
And now we'll move to the Deep South. Evergreen, Silverado, Cranston, Mackenzie Town, all these south areas. So when we look at the Deep South here, we got 529 sold listings for the month of June. And on the average sale price per square foot was $308 per square foot, and the median people are buying at $287. Now, when we look at the sales price, we're looking at $501 compared to where most people are buying at $460. Now, looking at how that compared to last month, we've got less sales in June than we had in May. So May was actually really pretty big month overall. And we've got a sales price per square foot of $301, the average sale price at $502 in that month. So these numbers are all pretty close, except for the square foot price could mean quite a bit of difference to any sale price. But 26 days on market, 24 days on market for May. So May was definitely a pretty hot month. And what we got available on the market now is about a little bit smaller on average when we look at it from that point of view. Now, looking at how that compared to last year in June, we had 425 sales in the month of June for last year, as opposed to 529 this year, and 272 a square foot last year. So definitely up from last year, and 287 a square foot was the median where most people were buying. And last year, our average sale price in the area was $457, and so definitely up like 45, not 45,000, but almost. It's pretty high. Now we look at the market from a supply point of view. We can see that on average, we look at our averages. We want to compare these two numbers here. So our list price per square foot is $318, where the sellers are asking what's currently on the market. That's bigger inventory than what most buyers were buying. The buyers were looking for homes last month priced at about $508 on average and $464. And so what's left on the market is the higher price group, which is also larger. And they're asking, of course, more per square foot on average as well. Now this number here on the median is pretty close, meaning that it's close enough that we can say that the median price for most buyers is going to be something else to see, but it's going to be priced higher because, of course, it's larger, right? Now we look at the inventory. Wow, we've got some
definitely some fast things happening here. So if you've got a house and you're priced under 450, 128 sales versus 72 available currently. So if you're a seller right now, boy, it's a seller's market up, in that particular group. And of course, it's a pretty close race from 450 to 500, and then above that, even then, 500 to 550 is pretty close. And when we look, that means that these houses are going to sell pretty quick, right? Of course, this is going to be your fastest market right here, and right here. But then above that, the market is, we've got a supply this is a pretty reasonable supply figure for buyers. It makes it fairly easy from 550 to 6. And when you look at 600 to 650, we've got a little bit more available. And then but this is interesting down here. We've got 800 to 850. We had 2 sales and 4 sells, so that's pretty good down there. And up in the 850 to 900, 7 sales and 6 available. So that's been pretty good. But then once we get above a million, there's not a lot of sales to confirm up here. So there's definitely an oversupply for the high end when we look at that.
And next we'll look at the northeast section of the city. So moving on to the northeast, 309 sales in the month of June, and those were priced at $310 a square foot. On the median, where most buyers were, was $305 a square foot, and the sale price was $359, or the median was $350. Now let's look at how that compared to last month. So last month in May, there was actually more sales, and those prices were $307 a foot, and the median where most buyers were around $305 a square foot. So that was really unchanged. And of course, the average sale price was $350 last month, but $355 in the month of May, which means that it's pretty tight and it's remaining pretty much the same. How that compared to last year, $263 was the median sale price where most buyers were last year a square foot, and $318. So the market is definitely up quite a bit. And last year, 261 sold listings in the month of June. Now we look at the inventory, 309 sales, of course, and let's look at what's happening now. So we have 536 homes available, which means that it's definitely it's okay for buyers in this market, because there's looks like there's over 50% or better. It's not an equal race here. And we've got $319 a square foot as an asking price on average, and $318 on the median. Now most buyers were looking to buy homes priced last month at about from 356 to 366, and we've got most of the inventory that's left out there on the market is priced significantly higher, and it's also the same size, which means that we've got a trend happening here where people think, well, the market's pretty hot, we're going to ask more for the houses. So that's because of the same size, and they're the same bedrooms and bathrooms. They're very similar. So let's look at what the inventory is looking like. So the reason why they're doing that is because, of course, it was a pretty good race here, 300 to 350. I mean, 96 sales and 96 available. That's just a match. And then we got 40 up to 300. We got 46 sold and 41 available. So it's pretty interesting when we've got that close. But then you can see 350 to 400, 85 sold and 180 available. So we've definitely got 2 to 1 here. Better than 2 to 1. So the market, the sellers are asking more. They're bumping their prices up into a new group, and the sales in this particular group really don't support it for last month. And of course, that's happening again at 400 to 450 and 450 to 500. And here we've got a fairly tight race, and that's 500 to 550, and that's probably only because there's not that many homes priced in that particular price group. Same with 550 to 600, and as we go up, there's really not a lot of sales that really happen above 650. Now, when we look at the overall market, from June, we can see that the average sold price was 476,351, down from May at 41. Now, I just want to guard you against that number. It's really not that meaningful of a number, and only because it means that people are buying more expensive homes, and maybe they bought less expensive homes in June. So I always like to look at the average sale price per square foot as the real indicator. Now, as far as how that was in last year compared to last year, 453
and 449. So definitely up for the average sale price. But when we look at the inventory, I think that's a better story. So back in January, we had 5,600 listings, and we've been stepping up each month. And our unit sales for June actually went down 3,700 according to May, which was our top month, which was 4,000 sales in May, our top month this year. So that was our best month to sell in. Although some sellers were getting more per square foot in June than they did actually in May. But I would guard you sellers about staying on the market too long, as the fact is that now the buyers have available 9,000 homes to look at instead of what they had last month of 8,600. So it makes a difference. So supply and demand is the biggest issue when it comes to selling. And of course, if you missed out on April or May, you may find that even that now that we're into July, that we may have more homes on the market, or the existing inventory stays to where it was. Now, if you look at last year, what happened was we actually had 8,500 listings and 8,600 in July, less than we have now. So, people encouraged by the hot market, even though we had good sales, they're encouraged by the hot market to throw their houses up for sale, which means that for buyers, it's getting to be a better market for buyers.
By now, you're probably interested in more specific information on the neighborhoods you're looking to buy or sell in. And I know your neighborhood. Give me a call. Back when I started selling real estate, over 90% of the homes I sold were expired listings or homes that other agents couldn't sell. During that time, I learned from my clients the many frustrations that they had selling their homes.
Yeah, we had the home about, twice with some other agencies, and they couldn't sell the house. We don't know why. It's a beautiful house.
There was not any interest shown at all in our home by anybody that came and viewed it.
Too many of the other MLS realtors who'd come and show the house, they wouldn't have a clue.
We didn't get any feedback on our showing.
Last time our house was in the market about 3 months, and we've never got any offers.
It's for these reasons I have a very detailed approach on the way I sell my clients' homes. But here's what my clients had to say.
We had our house on the market last year for about 6 months, right, Bruce?
Correct.
And it's a high-end house. It's across the street from the park. It was listed at $1,299,000, and we just really didn't get any offers or any traction on the house, and we couldn't figure out why. Our realtor was really good, really nice guy, but we were asking him for more of a marketing plan for the house, and it just didn't seem to come. So in August, we took the house off the market, and we decided to relist the house in January, yeah. And at that point in time, I remember seeing a brochure that Trent had done up, and that brochure from his company explained how he used video from a marketing perspective and all these other marketing techniques to actually move your house on the market. And we were really impressed with it, so we gave him a call, and Trent came in. And after we had a short conversation with him, we interviewed 3 other realtors, by the way, and none of them had the marketing strategy that Trent had. So Bruce and I decided, okay, let's take a chance with Trent for 90 days, see what happens. We listed it for the same amount of money, $1,299,000. And luckily, within 36 hours, amazing actually, our house sold at $1,250,000, and we were really happy. When we were interviewing the buyers, they actually shared with us that they saw our house on the market last year, and they looked at the photographs that were on the MLS, but it didn't really tweak their interest, so they just passed it by. They didn't come up to see the house, and they don't live far away. They're only a few blocks away, but nevertheless, they turned it down. And then when they saw Trent's video, they were really excited, and they said, we got to have a look at this house. And they came up, and they were the ones who made the offer and bought the house. So we're really happy for both Claudia and her husband, and for us to have moved this house so quickly. So thank you, Trent. Job well done, very professional.
We had our home listed for 4 months in the fall, and it just didn't sell. We had a little interest at first, but then it just died down. after the new year, we got some information in the mail from Trent, and he was able to show us the advantages of video marketing, and he showed off our home to its best advantage. You know, it's not a show home, it's not a new home, but it's a comfortable home. And he was able to show that and get that information out to lots of people. And we had so many showings. We had, you know, 1 or 2 showings a day. Some days we had so many showings we weren't even able to come home for meals. There was that much interest in our home. Another thing Trent was able to show us was that the market was actually good in November when we had our home listed before, and that was when there was no interest shown in ours. And there were homes selling in this neighborhood for actually less than what we got for ours just this past week. We sold it in about 4 weeks with Trent, and we're really excited to be, we got a price that we're happy with, and moving on.
This is just 2 examples, but in 13 years of marketing homes, I've got hundreds of examples of turnaround situations. High and low-end homes, fixer-uppers, show homes. I've marketed a home just like yours. So call me today for a low-pressure interview to discuss the sale of your home.